This is Overtime with Terrence and Leon, a original WRBI production brought to you by Bruns Gutzwiller. Choose Bruns Gutzwiller for your next construction project. Also being brought to you by FCN Bank. FCN Building Stronger Communities, member FDIC. Leon, it is getting closer and closer to the Summer Olympics, and that's going to allow us to continue our Olympic focus here on this week's pod. And I'm really excited. I mean, trust me, I'm excited about this episode, but man, I'm excited about the Summer Olympics too.
Well, it's funny, but when our next guest decided to come on, I could not wait to watch the Olympic trials to be able to. I mean, there's just so many questions I had
Mm-hmm.
watching it, and him being somebody who actually went to the trials and was there. I'm just looking forward to hearing all his thoughts and insight.
All right. Well, let's let our listeners wait no longer. Please welcome to the show a NCAA champion at Notre Dame, and then would go on to represent the United States. And then in the World Indoor Championships, actually secure a gold medal for the 4x400. I'm talking about none other than Chris Giesting. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Terrence. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I got my fill of 10 days of the Olympic trials, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Well, let's start off right there. Uh, so it was a 10-day long event. When you were watching this, how many times did it cause you to kind of think back to your days, your competition days?
Yeah, it puts me right back there. I can't believe it was 2016 when I was out there, and that just feels like yesterday when I'm watching a few of the guys. But you quickly realize there's only maybe a few of what I would call the old guard.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of younger names, a lot of younger athletes. Um, you're looking at like Quincy Wilson, 16-year-old that just got announced to make the team, youngest male track and field athlete ever. Like, there's
Wow.
just a new guard coming through. So excited to watch. Brings me back. I'm texting a couple old teammates that were out there back in 2016 as well. We're all just glued in, excited for the future of the sport.
So, Chris, what was it like? I guess we can jump right into this. What is it like knowing that you're one race away from going to the Olympics?
It's tough. A lot of emotions. There's it's it's a it's hard to define that. I would say 90% get one chance. It's tough to
Hmm.
be able to do multiple Olympic trials. It's 4 years apart, and anything can happen. You could be injured. You could just age out.
Hmm.
To make it to multiples tough. So you go in thinking you have one chance, and then yet alone it's one race that really defines it. You
Mm-hmm.
There are no takebacks in track. There's no next at bat, next shot, next possession. It is one opportunity, and
Yeah.
it makes it stressful knowing that you only have that shot. But extremely rewarding to kind of put in the hard work to get to that spot, to be at a stage where you've got 20,000 people watching. It's on TV. You got family at home that's supporting, and people can kind of understand, at least for that glimpse, how
Hmm.
exciting it is, what that means for everybody there. So it just elevates it all. It gets a high pressure situation, but the emotions run high.
Now, out there in Oregon is a very unique complex. Tell us a little bit about that complex because that's probably one of the best in the world, isn't it?
Yes, it's phenomenal. The only downside is how hard it is to get to. It's West Coast, tough to get directly to Eugene. But back in 2016, it was the old Hayward Field, the old
Yeah.
grandstands that have been, historic. And I got a chance to go out 2 years ago to the World Championships when they hosted for the first time on U.S. soil. And it was incredible to see the world come in and participate, and that venue was packed. It was a
Mm-hmm.
very, very high class facility. I've been at a lot of track and field stadiums throughout my career. That is one of the best in the world. It's incredible to have.
I've asked this question to some other track and field athletes, but I really want to kind of get this from you, being that you've competed at the top, some of the highest levels of the sport. Talk to me about times as it relates to indoor versus outdoor.
It's tough depending on the person.
Okay.
I'd say if you're looking at performances, they should always be faster outdoor. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's just on average what you see a lot of the time. Um, I think maybe my personal best,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at them event by event, it's almost not the case. I
Right.
have run a little bit better, arguably indoors than I did ever outdoor. So it's in the theory, right, is you're running tighter turns. It's a little bit harder to navigate around the
Okay.
indoor track compared to an outdoor. So it's, you know, a lot of people have success once it gets to outdoor. And I think it's also around how you train. Some people won't even focus on indoor season just because of the time of the year. Obviously, the focus is the Olympic Games, which don't start until end of July.
Sure.
Most of the bigger, larger, more important races isn't until the middle of summer. So a lot of athletes will just take that time off or just slowly get themselves acclimated. So it's an afterthought for a lot of folks as well. I do still see a lot of great performances for those that focus on it. The tracks these days, the technology, it is catching up and making it a little bit easier. I'd say, for example, I think Femke Bol, she's one of the favorites in the 400 hurdles in the world alongside Sydney McLaughlin, Levroni, and Femke's run incredible indoors in the 400 flat. I think
Okay.
she maybe even has a PR in that distance inside, but it does just depend. Yeah.
When you look at when you're talking about Sydney McLaughlin, how can explain to us how can she be that dominant?
There's certain people that are just gifted. Um, you look at Usain Bolt, I think, is a prime example of this.
Yeah,
What he was able to do was incredible, and in my opinion, won't be touched for 50 years. I don't even think
right.
somebody who can get close to him has been born yet. He just was so far ahead of the generations. It's just a once in a blue moon, a unicorn. Um, Sydney is that for the 400 hurdles. She is so good that has just jumped the event way ahead of its pace. It wasn't supposed to be this fast yet, and she's just blown it out of the water. Um, I don't even think she's hit her potential yet, so that's scary to think about. That I
Wow.
think she will continue to get better, and it's just incredible when you have a few athletes that are so dominant, and it's just polarizing to watch. You're glued in, and you want to see what they're going to do next, because they're just by far and away that much better than their peers. And that is nothing against the rest of the field. They are all
Hmm.
incredibly talented. They're all running, better than maybe 15 years ago. The sport was running, but she has just elevated it. It is just truly gifted, and they are one of a kind athletes. I'm jealous. I wish I had that gift. I wasn't quite that good.
You
Well,
made
let's not go too far. You were pretty dang good, so let's go ahead and give credit where credit's due.
You know what? In fact, Leon, let's do that. Let's go back and Chris, if you would, let's kind of walk through and relive some of your past accolades, and just kind of how we got to where we are right now today. Let's start with Batesville, a graduate from Batesville High School, and when you were there at BHS, I'm assuming you participated in a multitude of sports. What all were you doing there at Batesville?
Yeah, pretty much every season doing something. Cross country for the fall. Basketball was pretty much the priority, though. Did that a lot during the summer as well. And then spring, actually, my freshman year, played golf, and then transitioned my sophomore year into track. So
Okay.
was
I heard this
always
crazy
active,
story.
always active. I'm glad I made the switch out of golf.
Now, when you came through, now was Coach Raver, was he still involved with the track team?
He was. We had my freshman year, it was Leo Turchin and
Hmm.
Ron McAllister that were kind of at the helm, cross country and track. And then Lisa Galsman kind of took over head coach. Might have been maybe my sophomore year, but Coach Raver was heavily involved. Yet
Hmm.
was always he was at every practice.
All right.
Would come support. Did a lot with the jumpers. Not necessarily my specialty, but he would help coordinate between the different events. It was awesome having him out there. There's a couple stories. I'll say one.
Sure.
There was I can't remember when this was. Maybe it was after my senior year, but Coach Galzin wanted to do a time trial just to see how fast I could do an 800. I think at that point I was very focused 400. Didn't really even compete the end of the year in the 8. So after the school year, just in the middle of the summer, she coordinates to just go out there, and she has maybe two other guys on the team to come out and help pace. And uh, Coach Raver shows up, and he's kind of excited just to kind of see what we've got going on. And he kind of scheduled this in, and he was coming out there to give me the details on how Pete Schmidt, who was the high school record holder for the
Okay.
800, he still might be at this point. He said that in 1980,
Hmm.
1981. And so he's telling me about the stories and how they were running the 800 and how how I should go and attack this time trial. And it was just special to one, see his excitement, see him talk about athletes that he's been around, and looking forward to seeing what I could do under kind of that pressure and go and try and chase it. And he's out there, through 400, I could hear him cheering away and trying to egg me on and go after it. But he was just more excited, I think, than anyone. It was awesome to have, I don't know, maybe six people were out at the track that day. So it's really cool to see him out there.
That's awesome.
So, Chris, as we talk about Batesville, um, when you talk about, I heard you were a really good basketball player, and it's funny because we've talked to some people that said the sport that they've actually made a career of was not their favorite sport. Was that the case with you with basketball?
Yes, very much. I would choose basketball all day, every day. Unfortunately, I don't think I was that good, nor did any college coach or recruiter or scout.
So don't take
I
your word for it, right?
I was I was a facilitator and a team player. Individually, not as skilled as I could have been, but I wish I could have been as good in basketball. It is an incredible sport. Batesville has such a good history, lineage of great teams, great players, and it's something to be proud of going through that program. It's got so much history, and I loved it.
Who were some of the guys you played basketball with?
Well, I was coming up off the tail end of Mel Seifert's
Yep.
tenure,
Okay.
and he ended the career with just incredible teams. I mean, we were back to back semi-state bound teams with
Wow.
Steve Vonderhyde. It was Alex Grimsley, Colt Ryan. There was obviously my brother, 3 years older, so he was a part of those teams, and I grew up watching those guys just dominate. Probably my brother's senior year, that year with Grimsley, Michael Lanning, my brother, Colt, Tony, uh, Jeremy. That was maybe the best team I've ever seen at Batesville High School. We argue about it today about who was the greatest team that year. What was it, 2008? That was the best team Batesville's ever had.
So
Wow.
you're telling me that team could have beat Michael Mentor's team when they went to semi-state?
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I
That's a bold claim.
These guys were so good. I mean, they didn't lose a game in conference. They lost maybe 3 games all year, and it was to they beat Gordon Hayward's team at Butler earlier in that season. They lost to New Albany at the Winter Classic. They lost to Tyler Zeller, obviously at the semi-state, which was controversial with a lot of calls going his way. But that team was really, really good. I don't know how anyone could compete with them.
Please tell me you led the team in transition points.
I think I had maybe led the team in time up and down the court, 2 seconds behind. I did
And
not.
you led the team in distance ran. Is that?
Most minutes played, most time on the floor. Yeah, it was just, I think it was all the intangibles. I'm not kidding. I think I won MVP my senior year. I didn't lead the team in scoring. Not a
Right.
great shooter. Led the team in rebounds, steals, assists, just all of the little pieces of somebody who can just go run around and be a nuisance.
I'm still like I even said to Coach Garrett, how can you have Chris Giesting and not have a fast break every possession? Just go, just get out and go.
That's why I led in rebounds. I went to go get it, let the other guards already go down. They cherry picked, right? You had Cameron Futterman, Wes Goldsmith, great shooters. Just they wouldn't even worry about it. They just were already down the floor. I got the rebound, and then we just went. So it worked out pretty well. We had played, we started third grade together. There was 5 seniors of us from third grade all the way through to seniors in high school. We played every summer with travel basketball together. So really kind of built a unique way to play with each other. Not as skilled. None of us went on to play basketball in college at any level, but ended up making kind of a magic run to the semi-state.
Bruins Guts Willer is the right choice for your next construction project. We strive to deliver unparalleled service to our clients by focusing on craftsmanship and quality. Our core values of integrity, professionalism, and fair pricing all but ensures our clients receive the best possible experience. Whether it's commercial construction, remodeling an existing space, or even building a luxurious home, we offer a comprehensive suite of construction management services. So before you break ground, give us a call at 812-934-2105. Bruins Guts Willer, building a better future for southeastern Indiana for over 100 years.
So, Chris, was there a pivotal moment when you maybe mentally made the switch that it wasn't going to be basketball, that it was going to be track and field? Was there a specific moment that led to that?
Yes. There was, it kind of was a buildup.
Okay.
I was very undersized growing up, shorter, but had this growth spurt. My sophomore year, got really good at cross country. And that's where I was mentioned I played golf, but I had gotten so good at cross country that I wanted to stick with running. So there was kind of this small transition to continue on the track. Had a fairly good year, ended up making the state meet in the 800 as a sophomore. Was the fastest sophomore in the state that year, ahead of a name, Austin Mudd, who is renowned. I think he's getting inducted into the Indiana Hall of Fame this summer. He's a great athlete. So that kind of spurred a little bit of excitement that I could maybe make something of this. And then fast forward a year to my junior year, there was 2 specific back-to-back meets, the regional and then the state, that just were far and away faster than I ever thought I could run in the 400. So at that time, transitioned to the 400 and had beaten out in the regionals a future teammate of mine, Patrick Feeney at Notre Dame.
Yep.
He was a perennial favorite to win the state that year, coming back as a runner-up the year before, and was able to take him down at regionals just barely. It was a dogfight, and that just shocked me of, one, my capabilities, what I could do in the sport, and then 2, I think I was ranked maybe first or second going into the state meet. So
Mm,
I had never even thought about winning the state up
right.
until that exact moment. And I saw the heat sheets that I had one of the fastest times going in. That changed it for me. It was okay. I can compete and be very good at this. And it was just like overnight. It just took one race to have that like aha, the breakthrough. And after that, it was go time. It was everything I did after that was come back senior year, have a great year in running. Obviously, basketball was still really, really prevalent, but in the back of my mind, the focus was running from that point forward.
Wow.
And like you said, it was that one race that changed the course of everything.
Exactly. It truly changed so
Mm,
much of my life. It was the basis to get recruited. Coaches were calling right after that season. I still remember I had Purdue was the first call that came down and visited Batesville, and it was funny having a lot of coaches come down to Batesville and see the small town, and that's something I always really enjoyed.
Well, let's talk about that recruiting process because I find as you look from sport to sport, each sport they recruit differently. So talk to us about the recruiting process for track and field.
Yeah, I'm sure it's changed over the days, but for me, it was this period in the summer where you can get contacted. There was like this kind of cutoff. I think it was in July, but as soon as that date hits, you're able to get calls. And so if they were trying to find some way to get in touch with me. Some didn't know. Some were contacting the school, sending mailers to Coach Gausman, um, or to me if they directly found it somehow. So there was a just rush of emails, letters, phone calls from a lot of schools, mainly in the Big Ten. If you
Mhm.
think kind of regionally where we are, that's where a
Right.
lot of coaches were, looking at results from state
Hmm.
meets and seeing who's doing what. And I think at that time, maybe I was like a top 5 or 6 time for my class in the
Mhm.
specific 400. So then it gets really nuanced. There's a lot of back and forth with scholarship. That portion of discussions just gets a little tougher for the track and field world. There's
Mhm.
no football. They've got, I think, maybe 90 full rides to
Hmm.
give out. Um, Track and field has 11 and a half. So it's a very competitive space to try and get a foothold for scholarship. A lot of
Mhm.
times you look at a perennial powerhouse like Florida, they
Okay.
almost are always winning NCAA titles. They have a system where the juniors and seniors and or just maybe incredible freshmen are getting the scholarships, but they will have elite talent coming in as freshmen that probably aren't getting support, but it's under the
Hmm.
promise that, hey, once these guys graduate, then that spot's yours. So
Yeah.
it's very tough, but you have to kind
Mm.
of eat it for your freshman, sophomore year. But they're just so good, and you're going to get the coaching, you're going to get the facilities and a chance to win an NCAA title. That that was hard for me to think through and try to pay for school and kind of go that route. So I tried to find the best situation, and Notre Dame happened to be a great one for me. They were willing to give scholarship a large amount up front, and they lock you in for 4 years. They are not allowed to reduce you for
Mm.
any reason. Some schools can. There's some kind of leeway depending on how they interpret certain rules, but Notre Dame was very adamant to say we will not reduce you depending on performance. As long as you're here every day, you're doing the right things. Like we can't take that from you. Um, so that kind of just gave me a little bit more peace of mind, but
Sure.
Wow.
got them into a bidding war with Michigan, which ended up helping in my favor.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, you talk about the 11.5 scholarships. That's in relation to what are your roster numbers on a track and field team?
Gosh, you've got the problem is it covers cross country as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
so
Oh.
you have if you're a coach, you're kind of double dipping to support maybe more of cross country because they can come back and also do track. So you get two sports out of the same scholarship pool.
Hmm.
So I would say though the track team combined, that's maybe 75 guys on a roster that's outfitting a full team. More maybe condensed ones would be around 50,
Hmm.
but you can see a lot of potential walk-ons, or you just kind of have people
Yeah.
coming on to do a lot of the distance events. It really varies, but it is a large team and not a lot of opportunities. So coaches are consistently trying to fine tune, slicing scholarships. At Notre Dame at the time, there was a rule for the guys that nobody could get a full ride. So not a single guy, no matter how good you
Mhm.
were, had a full
Right.
ride at Notre Dame. It was, 1% under, right? He would go all the way to the limit, but he just didn't believe in giving one person an entire full scholarship
Right.
because of how you had to
Hmm.
disperse between that many people. So it's tough. It's very tough.
Wow.
So, Chris, is when you talk about the bidding war between Notre Dame and Michigan, um, what else was it about Notre Dame that made you think this is the place I want to spend the next 4 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Notre Dame is a very, very unique university in that I don't know, maybe three or four in the country that are very good at athletics.
Hmm.
They have consistent teams. They just won lacrosse back-to-back national titles. They're competing very high level in athletics. And not only that, they have the academics that is just incredibly rigorous. They output in the slogan, right? It's a 40-year decision, not a 4 year
Hmm.
decision. It's setting yourself up when your playing days are gone, and like that to me is a really special sauce. I think of like Stanford as
Yeah.
being maybe on par with that. There's really a few that do that, and to have one kind of in our backyard that's drivable, family can kind of get to easily. It was a really just unique situation. So that kind of put it at its forefront, and then ended up getting swayed because Patrick Feeney, the rival in high school, ended up going there. He was a year older than me. So him being there at the time, I knew we could elevate the program. I knew him and I together at the same time, we would be really, really dominant team. And luckily that kind of paid off. We saw that in success through college, but there was like these two elements of the great school, great program, great coaching, and a team that could kind of get behind.
Well, your estimation was spot on because in your freshman year at Notre Dame, you guys were able to secure the very first of its kind, right? The NCAA Indoor Championship, and you guys were a big part of that. Talk us through that year, what that freshman year was like.
It was wild. I think I came in maybe too confident. I'd say I had some teammates that were a little maybe put off by, who's this kid coming in thinking he can just beat everybody, or, just walking around practice and just going at it with the seniors, going at it saying, hey, come get me. Which I think helped. It helped me
Right.
at the time, just being super aggressive like that. I definitely, wised up to the sport, but that year was very much just go stamp my name on it, and I'm the new kid on the block. And I wasn't afraid of it. I, stepped right in, was setting records. The first few races I was there. Ended up setting the school record in the 500 indoors and in the first few races. And then from there, it was an NCAA title, you
Hmm.
know, like 3 months into my first ever season there. And I'd never even done indoor track before that. So
Right.
um, it was a quick escalation, and I just kind of full throttle from there. I was hitting, record PRs all outdoor season. And just the accolades kind of just kept falling, and I just kept getting more aggressive. It was um, something that just kind of spurred me. I don't know how good I could get, and I'm just going to
Hmm.
keep pushing. And I
Wow.
just did that every year, every year. Nothing kind of slowed me down. It was just jumped into the fire.
So, Chris, I don't know if Terrence knows this, but isn't there someone special that you met when you were
Mm,
at Notre Dame?
yes, we have been together. I think it's been 11 years now.
Wow.
So my wife, now we met freshman year, same class. Um, we've actually got a funny story of how she knows me prior to that.
Oh man, we got to
Go
hear
ahead.
this. Let's go.
Come on.
She's from Ohio. There
Okay.
is this there, and it might not still be a thing. I've heard some rumors that other states are kind of pulling out, but there used to be a Midwest Meet of Champions, and it was Indiana versus Ohio versus Michigan. So top seniors in each state would go race each other. So we went and did that. This was 2011 at the time, and I did not recognize or meet her there or kind of have any kind of like recollection of this. She spots me out, just immediately knew me when she sees me on campus the next year. She's like, "Oh my gosh, are you the same guy from that meet?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. Like, did we
Well,
meet?"
yeah,
And
that's me.
she's like, "No, we didn't meet, but I was making fun of you with my mom in the stands the whole time." And I'm like, "What do you mean making fun of me?" In my mind, I'm like, "Oh, like, she saw me win this race kind of thing." And she's like, "Oh no, like I was the only white guy in the race." And she is just like, "This guy's gonna get his doors blown off." And just immediately I'm out the back. I was probably in last in the first 100 meters. And so she's with her mom, with her coach, talking a mad amount of crap about me. She still will not tell me, nor will her mother. They will not tell me what was said during
Oh
that
I
my,
love.
exchange.
oh my goodness.
And now she's, has put that behind her and is maybe more impressed. But when she saw me win, she still says she thinks it's a slow time because I won that race. And I was like, just had no respect. But now
It,
I get to cheer her on. She's still competing. She's still running. She's an incredible athlete. And glad that we had that random happenstance. I think I put an impression, whether good or
Mhm.
bad. I had an impression.
So today, could she take you?
Yes.
Right answer. Right answer.
Yes, very much.
so is this story going to change a little bit when kids come and you tell the kids, yeah, mom was, she knew who I was, but I didn't really know who she was. This story is going
That's
to
right.
change a little. I just want you to know that.
I think so. I'm going to tell them, how much, I just walked around. She was just drawn to me, couldn't get enough. Yes.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, so that was wow. That was an amazing year then for you there. Your freshman year at Notre Dame. You know, Leon, one of the things that I like most about working and living in Batesville, it's the community. Batesville has a little something for everyone, and FCN Bank is the exact same way. Whether it's my personal or business needs, FCN offered me an array of banking products and services that would fit my every banking need. Don't take my word for it. You should check it out yourself at www.fcnbank.com. FCN Bank, building stronger communities. Member FDIC. And let's move forward. Then you start competing on the world stage. Um, how different was it? I mean, you talked a little bit about the jump from high school to Notre Dame. You were a little cocky and kind of took it to those guys. What was it like when you took it the next level up?
Completely opposite. I
Okay.
I don't remember what it was like winning a race anymore.
Mhm.
It's such a jump. And I think everybody has this. At some
Mhm.
level, you just top out.
Right.
There is always somebody out there better than you.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
find it. There's maybe a few to that exception, but that was the jump. And it was a rude awakening. It was every time you go to a race, it's the same people. They're all hungry. They're all trying to make it. They're all exceptional. They've all either won an NCAA title or multi-time All-Americans. Every single person you're lining up against is
Mm.
is the same or better. And that got hard. It was hard to not win. They say winning is a habit, and that just took so much time to figure out, get comfortable, kind of doing new things, trying to really understand what it meant to be on my own, be outside of the college system,
Mm-hmm.
be outside of kind of that normal routine. That was an adjustment. All these little things that just kind of in the back of your mind, just figuring it out, how am I going to make this work? That level of support isn't quite there, as it was in college. So that was it was tough. You have to elevate everything about
Right.
your perspective to just continue to kind of make it.
Chris, so tell us about, I mean, you tell us about the jump in competition, the level of intensity and all that stuff, but tell us what it's like for a runner once you leave school and you become a professional runner. How do, how does that work?
It's almost a loose term, professional. I wouldn't even know how to define that to runners. It's such a, some would say you sign a contract, with a shoe company. Some would say maybe you make a team. It's very difficult, and to me it was, you're opting in to do this full time. You are making a decision that this will be my full time job. I had to pick up part time work every year that I competed. I picked up part time work that was flexible. My first year was working at the mailroom at the university, and did that in the mornings, worked out in the afternoons and the rest of the day. So whatever you could do, to kind of just grind it out. There was a lack of support. There's really not a lot of money in the sport. Still not. I wouldn't say to this day. I think some of the top athletes are absolutely supported, and they deservedly have it. I mean, they are incredible to watch. What bring the attention to the sport. But I would consider, I was on the outside looking in. I would have, maybe top 15 in the country at that time. And if you're not top 4 or 5, you really don't get much. It is just
Wow.
figure it out
Mm-hmm.
until you have eclipsed it, right? The world only watches once every 4 years. If you make that team, your life will change,
Yeah.
and you'll get a 4-year contract, you'll get support, you'll be a name. So that's kind of what you're shooting for. You're trying to make the Olympic team, so that way you can kind of get to the next level, get the support, get a training team, be able to afford, physio, massage, your diet can increase. I was living off pretty cheap eats, for years, just
Yeah.
trying to keep the cost low while I travel across the world, just competing and grinding it out.
I don't know if you heard about this, Chris, but they recently just started a professional running league, if you would, that's supposed to maybe alleviate some of what you're talking about. They'll compete four big televised events a year. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm biased. I love it. My former teammate is the director of athletics for that new league. A
Oh,
guy named
wow.
Kyle Merber is working with Michael Johnson at that league for Grand Slam, I believe is the name of it. So Kyle and I texted a little bit
Mm,
about this new league. It's new. It is so brand new.
yeah.
It's going to take a new perspective on the sport. It's going to get fans a little bit more insights into the backstories for the
Yeah.
athletes. What does it really take to get there? Because a lot of times you tune into the Olympics here in 3-4 weeks. You'll see maybe 2 or 3 names that you recognize, and you'll see them run, and you'll see them run fast, and then that's it. You'll never hear from them again. This is going to build a little bit more draw into who they are as people. Want you to kind of stay in tune with, you know, their development, their progress, get you to come
Mm-hmm.
back. And you mentioned these 4 marquee races. It gives you something to look forward to say, all right, I got this person again in 2 months. I can't wait to watch this matchup now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to follow along their journey until that next race. So it's, in my mind, a really, really new, needed perspective into the sport. It's a outdated sport. You look at baseball,
Right.
increasing this like pitch clock, NBA with new rules to try to make it a little bit more offensive. you just see sports changing
Mm-hmm.
to really draw that attention in. I mean, they're all
Sure.
competing against each other. Track is maybe behind the times. So excited for this new league and what it means for professionals.
So, Chris, tell us a little bit about now. You're retired. Your wife's
Hmm.
still competing. What is Chris Giesting doing today?
I'm barely jogging. I get this question maybe, are you still running? I get that everywhere I go. Anyone I talk to is, are you still running? So my first answer is always no, not even a little bit, not even a jog. I've just kind of cold turkeyed it.
Mhm.
Um, you just get so worn out
Yeah.
that I want to do anything else. So maybe coming full circle, I've tried to get back into golf, and I'm still not very good at it, but I work now full time at a marketing
Yeah.
agency. So when I retired, it's a funny word from the sport in 2021. So COVID, I gave up my Olympic trial spot. Just was aging out. That additional year, that was too much on the
Yeah.
body. So once that kind of decision hit, it was, what do you do now? So went back to get my MBA at the University of South Carolina, where I'm at now in
Yep.
Columbia. So moved down south. Um, just bought a house with my wife, Jade. So we are really kind of making roots here and excited to kind of live in a new area, a warm area. It's different from maybe the cloudy days and the snow in the Midwest that I don't miss. I'm trying to convince my family to come down here for the holidays.
Right.
So working on that. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's been a transition and kind of excited to put that same effort and into something else, like channeling now into being the best at my
Yeah.
job. I've, really kind of focused in on putting in that same work ethic into a whole new craft and learning kind of how I would call it the real life operates.
Chris, you mentioned the 16-year-old phenom that you got a chance to see at the Olympic trials. Um, what type of changes or advancements in the sport do you think has contributed to just a 16-year-old kid to be able to be that fast, that young?
Yeah, Quincy Wilson is unbelievable. I recommend everybody one get to know his name. He's gonna be Michael Johnson, point part
Mm,
two. I mean,
mhm.
Michael Johnson did things nobody could do. So captivating at kind of 400, 200, just incredible. I've never seen anybody like Quincy. He is truly undersized. There's images of him. He looks like he's 16. He's not overdeveloped. He's not, older. He is just impressive. Technology wise, spikes have come a long way. There's a lot of talk
Sure.
in the sport about how, but I think that plays a little bit more into the distance events. 800 on up, I would say, have more of an advantage. I joke with my runner friends about how I ran in the dead spike era. We were running times that just aren't comparable anymore.
Right.
The the technology for spike wise, the tracks these guys are running on are absolutely just breeding great times. But for Quincy in the four, this talent is grit. His form isn't the best. He can improve there. He can get stronger. He can get more mechanic help. Uh, it's he just has this ability to
Mhm.
not register pain,
Mm-hmm.
which is unique in an event that induces pain. All you do is lock up the last 50 meters of
Yep.
that race. It doesn't matter how good you are. You are
Mhm.
still going to lock up. He he just doesn't quite feel that. Doesn't feel the pressures of the stage. It's amazing. Like he's making comebacks, on the last 100 meters against solidified pros, former Olympians, world, record holders. He is incredible to watch. I'm excited they named him to the team. That's going to be, mark your calendars. I think SportsCenter is already picking it up. They tweeted about it today. Um, he's going to be exciting for the next 8, 12 years.
So tell us a little bit about who should, as Olympics fans, track and field, who should we be paying attention to that nobody's really talking
Mhm.
about?
Oh, I think I could go through an entire list. I'm going to be doing a little hosting party of watching the Olympics because people see how excited I get, and I'm going to just feed information about each race, each person. So I've been asked already by my friends down here if they can watch the Olympics with
Oh,
me.
that's
So
awesome.
I'm going to be doing that. I think some really good just races to look out for, just the competition. 400 hurdles, both men and women.
Ooh.
Wow.
You've got Femke Bol, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. That's going to be an incredible race. You've got Rye Benjamin, Karsten Warholm, and DeSantos.
Yeah.
The three top hurdlers of all time are all running in their prime right now. That's just never happened before. So those two events in its own is going to just be fireworks. And then you've got Quincy Wilson for a 16-year-old running against 30-year-olds. He's going to be incredible to watch. And then you just got a group of incredible, talented Americans that I would go and watch. I mean, the groups that we just sent, there are medals that we left at home because you have to be top 3 at our trials to go,
Right.
and 4th, 5th, and 6th are all good enough to medal at the
Yeah.
Olympics, and we left them off. So there's just going to be incredible performances across the board. The 800, you saw 142. He almost broke down the American record at the trials. Bryce Hoppel,
Yeah.
watch him. He's a contender for a medal now. Our 1500 crew, Yared, another Notre Dame graduate. He's from Kentucky, I believe, and he has just got an incredible talent. He's a favorite now too, also medal. You've got just so much talent right now in the sport that I have never seen. They are breaking records left and right. So every night, I think it's the first week of the Olympics as well. Every night's going to be incredible.
No doubt. Well, Chris, listen, we like to end this show the same way every week, and we call it our one hitter quitter. And that's where I will ask you one question, hard hitting in nature, and you have to answer. Are you ready, sir?
Can I say no?
No. We won't get you in trouble with the wife, and you won't get arrested. So you're in good shape.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. I want you to give me 2. Okay. I'm getting my DraftKings sheet together right now. Give me 2 surefire medalists, the athlete and the event.
Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, women's 400 hurdles, gold medal.
Mm.
And I think I'm going to go maybe a sleeper pick.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be an exciting race. I'm going to go Kenny, Kung Fu Kenny is his name, Kenny Bednair. He's going to win the gold for the men's 100.
Are you
Kenny
serious?
for gold in the 100.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
He is an absolute sleeper. He is a medalist in the 200 every year. He's a beast. He just ran 19.5 against Noah Lyles, put some pressure on him there. He actually beat him around the bend on that 200 race. He's got speed, and he's never run the 100 just because he's liked the 200 more. This is the first year he's actually focused on it, and he is just getting better every time he touches it. I think he's going to come in shape. He's going to be the most fit. I think he's going to crush it. It's going to be good. Obviously, you have Noah Lyles, but he's going to be the great value.
Okay.
Kung
All right.
Fu
I got
Kenny.
my
I'm on
DraftKings
it now.
together.
Kung Fu Kenny.
We got it. Well, listen, Chris, seriously, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences with us. I know our listeners will enjoy hearing from you and hearing your story. And again, just thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Chris, thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Terrence Leon. It was a pleasure. I might see y'all back up there for the Freudenfest here soon.
And
Well,
when the Olympics are over, we might need to do a follow-up.
Bring me back. I'll have so much excitement to talk about and go through all of those races.
Hey.
I'm hoping a lot of people watch it.
Hey,
count on it.
Count on it. You're committed to it now. You can't back out.
Let's do it.
As a matter of fact, save me a place. I might swing through South Carolina. Watch the event with you.
come on down. We'll get some good barbecue going down here. It's going to be amazing. If you don't mind the heat, it's probably going to be 100 plus every day.
All right, Chris, again, thanks so much, buddy, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, y'all.
And that's going to do it for this one. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors for making this show possible. They include Bronze Gutzwiller, the right choice for your next construction project, and FCN Bank, building stronger communities, member FDIC. Also, we'd like to thank our friends of the program. They include Margaret Mary Health, S&B Driving School, and Country 103.9 WRBI. And as always, subscribe, like, rate, and review. And remember, be a friend and tell a friend about Overtime with Terrence and Leon.